in healing, going through certain situations, that's the call to the healer, like a much more of a, maybe a shamanic form of awareness of what healing is, and actually going through a difficult phase is the call to the healer, and you have to try and come through the other side. How would you comment on that in relation to her situation?
How can I put that one? Yeah, in a sense, like, you know, one of the things that we looked at, because we, like I said, was reading quite a lot of interesting books and theories, and one of the constant themes that kept cropping up is like, the inner world is a reflection of the outer world. Like, the outer world is a reflection of the inner, should I say. You know, what's going on inside you is reflected in front of you, because we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human one. And you know, so in general, it's that once you start doing the inner work within yourself in terms of how you perceive yourself and how you want your life to be, and actually having the courage to step into it without fear of you know, what people have to say, or discrimination or criticism, and once you know who you are and you're comfortable in that, and you express that in the most authentic way and in the most positive way, then real change comes, and then your outer surroundings improves, you know. And that was something that she was struggling with to a certain degree due to a harsh upbringing. It's something that I struggle to deal with in my day due to certain environmental conditions growing up. But obviously, as you get older and you become more aware of yourself and more in control of yourself, you're able to adapt it, and instead of taking all those things as negatives, you're able to turn them into positives and use it as a platform for growth, you know. Even this situation with her passing, I'm trying to use it more as a catalyst for growth than to let it destroy me, in a sense, because I know that's not what she would have wanted. She would have wanted me to grow from the situation, to become a better person. You know, these are philosophies that she used to always tell me. Obviously not in regards to the current situation as such, but in a more general basis, you know.
Stepping back a bit, if you look at how mental health is dealt with in society, what would you comment on that, having seen what from direct experience, what someone had to go through?
In a sense, the best thing I can say in terms of what I think needs to be done, I think people just need to listen more, and to understand that we don't literally live everything in a material sense to a certain degree. Not everything is physical. You know, why do we have funerals? Why do we have, like, cremations? Why do we have all these kind of ritualistic things to a certain degree in our society? Which seems very kind of, how can I put it, you know, passe, you know, things that happen that they're just seen as like an everyday thing. There's always a spiritual aspect going back to ancient times. But, you know, people turned their back on that a long time ago to a certain degree. And now it seems like a lot of people's actually coming back into that awareness due to what events are unfolding around the world, should I say. But yeah, in the shamanic aspect, because I read an article on a shaman's perspective of mental health, and all that their conclusion is that person, whoever has a mental health condition, is actually more on a spiritual level than the average person, and they're just struggling in order to connect the two. You know, because they see things on a much deeper level to a certain degree that most people don't, or they think of things on a much deeper level that the average person doesn't, and they actually need help in connecting the physical world to the spiritual world in a certain degree more than other people, because they have a lot more to contend with in that way of doing things. And I think the sooner that society realizes that there is actually a very spiritual aspect to it, there's the closer we'll actually come to dealing with it in a more efficient way, you know.
Looking at the role of an artist, what do you think being an artist and musician, what do you think your role is in relation to that, in bringing the bridge that art can provide in opening up parts of the self, parts of the mind, healing, therapy, releasing trapped energy, maybe whether that around mental health?
Well, in terms of what I can do, or what I plan on doing, should I say, because I've literally just started laying down some new foundations, like in terms of how I choose to do things as an artist. For one, I as a, you know, I feel it's kind of my duty in a sense to make people aware, because we're in a time of awareness now, And in a certain degree, if I can do that through my creative expression, and which I believe that's my way of connecting to source. Everyone has their own different way and opinions of how to connect to source, and for me, I do that through my creativity. So when I'm in my zone in my music, or I'm writing, or I've got my pen on paper and I'm doing what I need to do, like I said, in a certain aspect, that's how I connect to source. Everyone has their creative way of self-expression, and I just think that through me actually doing that in the best way that I know how, I can actually be an example of it being done, or how it's done. I mean, we see it in our everyday lives, but we just don't take notice of it. In general, when you see like a musician, like I said, going into their zone, when you see like, Jimi Hendrix going into one when he was on stage, and he's tapping into source that way, that's kind of like that pure creative self-expression. And I actually feel that in a sense that's an example of how we should actually be on an everyday basis. You should be in touch with your source. That's when people really are in touch with themselves, or at one with themselves. I believe when through creative self-expression, for certain other people it might be different ways. Some people it might be going to the gym, for some people it might be swimming, some people it might be sitting in nature. Everyone has their different ways, but I think that people really need to take time to tap into that more in order to become more one with themselves. I know that with like, take Shereen for example, she was very into nature. She was most at harmony when she was in nature. We used to get up at like 6:30 in the morning and go and catch the sunrise at the park, and take these long canal walks, or find the bushiest, greeniest part of the park and just go and chill in there and just chill and listen to the birds and be at one with nature. And I think that people in general need to do that more. Not in sense of like, all right, go out into the park and connect. If that's what you feel you need to do, that's what you need to do. But in general, find what helps you become one with yourself to a certain degree, and exercise your life from that point, and watch it unfold.